question. Do you ever catch yourself snapping at your team? Not because they messed up, but because you were off. You're overwhelmed. You're worn out. You're behind. And your tone, it's sharp. And your patience, it's gone. And the team, they feel it. And later that night, the guilt hits. And you're saying to yourself, that's not who I want to be. Been there. And if you don't believe me, just ask my team or my kids. Here's the truth. Most leaders don't fail because they don't care. They fail because they can't regulate their emotions under pressure. Because in that moment, you always have a choice. That gap between stimulus and response, and how you use that gap will determine the entire quality of your life. And the choice simply comes down to this. Do you want to be a thermometer and reflect the chaos? Or do you want to be a thermostat and reset the room? I'm Chris Hunsicker, and this is the Dealership War Room. Leadership fire, 7 minutes, built daily, fueled intentionally, and delivered relentlessly. And today, we are going to activate law number 4 of the Velocity Framework, which is precision beats emotion every time. As elite leaders, you do not get paid for your ideas. You get paid for your energy regulation, because leadership is emotional mastery. If you can't lead yourself in a moment of pressure, how in the world are you going to lead your team in a moment of uncertainty? This is where great leaders separate themselves. They learn to reset. They learn to regulate. They learn to lead when it's not easy to lead. And we call these kind of leaders elite operators, because they don't get rattled, they get results. They show up calm in chaos. They show up with clarity under pressure. And they show up with presence when everybody else disappears. This isn't about being robotic. This is about being intentional. Because if your mood runs your mission, then your mission dies the moment you're feeling shift. So let's take a minute and revisit the Thermostat Reset tool. Remember, it has 3 elements: breathe, anchor, and lead. So let's start with number 1, breathe. This is so simple, it's almost offensive, but it is the most powerful, effective way to interrupt emotions and create instant regulation. And we're just going to use the power of our breath to move from our sympathetic to our parasympathetic nervous system. That's simple. Breathe in to a count of 4, hold for a beat, and breathe out to a count of 5 or 6. So you're breathing out just slightly longer than you breathe in. This is going to step in between that gap between stimulus and response and give you instant control back of what's going on. So once you breathe like that, drop your shoulders and then interrupt the pattern. Stop the spiral. Step 2, equally simple. Ask yourself this question: what am I trying to achieve right now? This pulls you from emotion back into mission, because energy always follows focus. And when your emotions lead, that's where your focus goes, is into the emotion: frustration, anger, fear, upset, hurt, betrayal. But when your focus is mission, what do I want to accomplish? What am I trying to get done? What's the mission? Pulls you out of the emotion and gets you centered right back on task. 3 is lead. You're a leader. Speak, act, decide, but not from frustration and not from fear, but from mission, from identity, from who you are, an elite operator, because that is what precision leaders actually do. This is the reset, and you can use it anytime, 100 times in a day. But whenever you feel yourself drifting, getting away, when you get hijacked by your emotions, you are 100% in control. Stop and run the thermostat reset. Breathe. Then anchor. What am I trying to do? What am I trying to get done? And then lead. Take some action. Think, act, decide. But remember, you're going to do it from identity and not from fear. And that is how elite leaders operate. Let me show you how real this actually is. All of you have had those days where you come into work and 2 people are out on vacation, 1 person calls in sick, we're incredibly short-staffed for the day, and you're like just getting overwhelmed at everything that's going to go wrong. And then that 1 person walks into the room, you're like, oh, Carol's here. It's going to be a good day. Or same situation, and that 1 person walks in the room, you're like, oh, we're toast. And when I do this with frontline people, they always tell me that person is a manager. Picture this. You walk in on a pressure-filled morning, but because of how you show up, because of your emotional self-regulation, you walk into this pressure-filled morning where everybody's worried, we're short-staffed, we got tons of stuff going on, and your whole team relaxes because they see you and they know that you're there. You go into your home and it's been a long, brutal day, and your spouse looks at you and sees you, and she feels seen and safe and not avoided. Or you leave the store with energy left over, not shame to carry home. That is what emotional regulation creates. That is what we're training for. Want to know how strong your emotional self-regulation really is? I built a 60-second thermostat leader scorecard, and it's free. And it'll give you an instant score on where you're at, as well as a map on what you can do to improve and strengthen your score. Just DM me thermostat scorecard, text me thermostat scorecard, or communicate to me, put it somewhere in the YouTube comments that you want it, and I'll send it to you, and you can start becoming even stronger and raising your score for emotional self-regulation. Quite simply, this is how elite operators start taking the emotional side of their business serious, because you know if you do not measure it, it will not improve. Now it's time to cross the execution bridge. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. The moment that you start to feel your emotions get hijacked, stop right then, step in the gap between stimulus and response, and I want you to run the 3-step reset. You're just going to go through and do that, because remember, you're going to lead from identity, not from instinct. And once you do that, do me a favor, DM me, text me, put it into the YouTube notes. I ran the reset today. Let's just see how many people can actually do this for today. Let's break a record. Think of the power of that phrase, I reset the room, both at home and at work, because we're not just training tools. We're literally building a library, a core of elite operators, and you belong in that group. But the only way to get in there is to begin to master the art of the reset and the art of regulation. This is law number 4 of velocity. You are the thermostat. You are the regulator. You are the tone setter of every single room that you enter. Inside the Velocity Mastermind, we train emotional control like a martial art. Daily rhythm, emotional control, strategic clarity, real accountability, all in a community with fire-tested leaders just like you. And when the doors are ready to open, I'll let you know. But tomorrow, I am so excited. It is going to be our first ever Homefront Friday, where we're going to look at how do you take the tools, frameworks, and the velocity mindset that you use to absolutely crush it at work and become an elite operator and apply those same skills, tools, and frameworks, those same mindsets at home to become an elite parent, an elite spouse, and an elite friend. Because if you've ever gone into your home, walked into the front door, just carrying the stress of the world on your back, that like everything from work is following you home, then tomorrow is for you. So for today, let's go out, create some leadership fire, start practicing that muscle and that skill of emotional self-regulation. Run the thermostat reset, create some leadership fire, and I'll see you tomorrow in the Dealership War Room.